Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Talos of Tech, live on Twitch. Hope everybody's having a Thursday. Not a great one. I just hope it's Thursday for you. If it's not Thursday for you, I'm desperately sorry. We've made it a week through 2021. We've made it this far. 54 to go, I think, or something like that. But welcome. Today's stream can really be dictated by you guys like usual, but there was a bit of a report done recently. Katrina says it's Thursday in their time zone. Thank God. Thank God. And I'm doing great. Thank you, Kuzith, for asking. There was a report. I don't know if I feel like making a video on this. I think I've talked about it in previous streams, but I want to try to see in 2021, maybe because I'm ready to burn my channel down to the ground and get as many people to unsubscribe as possible. But I'm thinking about doing less videos on iPhones if possible. I'm not saying I'll do no videos on iPhones. It's just that in the leak game and the next iPhone report thing, you get caught up in that, and there's too many channels reporting on iPhones anyway. I'm trying to see if I can do this less, so that's why I don't mind kind of diving into it a little bit more on the Twitch streams. But this doesn't really have anything to do with the next generation iPhone, but it supports my theory that I talked about when explaining to people that the iPhone 12's removing the charge brick is a bad move, or it's unappreciated by Apple's audience because they did not reduce the price, which I guess threw certain people off because they were expecting, well, if you're going to remove the charge brick, which cost me $20, then you should knock $20 off of the retail price, which doesn't, it's not really how the world works, because that's not like how much it costs to include it. It's just what Apple charges for it, and to have a profit on it. That's what they charge. But hey everyone, Armand1, thank you for all of your doys. I'm noticing the Discord notification didn't go out, and I'm wondering if I actually normally get a notification for Twitch on my phone and my iPad, but it hasn't gone off yet, so I'm wondering if notifications are acting weird today. They're probably a little bit delayed, whatever. I talked about how Apple had to remove the charge brick. Well, they didn't have to, but they removed the charge brick to assure best possible profit margins if they could. Maybe I just have notifications turned off in Discord if the notification did go off for you. That's weird. But Apple wanted to secure a certain amount of profitability on each iPhone, which is understandable because they're business and they have to. But also, the iPhone costs a lot more than the sum of its parts. I think a lot of people misconstrue or misunderstand reports when they're like, oh, the iPhone 11 Pro Max costs $430 to build, but they charge $1,100 for it, so that means that there's a $700 profit margin. Well, no, because that's just how much it costs to pay for the parts that go into it. That does not cover the cost of research and development. That does not cover the cost of iOS development, which they give away. You know, iOS is included with the phone, and then you get years and years of updates afterwards, and it's kind of difficult to measure that, you know, because software engineering is a huge division. It's a huge section of Apple, and they pour money into making sure that that 11 Pro Max is going to continue to get software updates year after year after year. And there's troubleshooting, and there's new features they add, and all of that requires software engineers that have to get paid, and Apple probably pays them a decent salary. Apple's not known for, at least in their own company in the U.S., not being super skinny on pay. Like, people who work at Apple stores get above minimum wage, and that's like the lowest of the low when it comes to Apple's own employees. If we're talking outsourced production, yeah, that's a different story. But if we're talking domestic employees, they pay pretty well, I'm sure. So figuring out exactly what the profit is a bit tricky, but I know it's significantly more. You know, the parts for the 11 Pro Max and the factory lines and the assembly process, that didn't just drop from the sky, right? It took a bunch of money for them to retrofit the old factories and rearrange assembly lines and figure out how to make the part that makes this part. And there's a lot more that goes into it than just the cost. But this recent report posted this morning, pretty early, by Tim Hardwick. Tim, what are you doing so early? 4:21 a.m. Pacific time? Tim, you could have posted this a minute earlier and it would have been 4:20. What a missed opportunity. But also, why get up that early if you're not even going to meme the time? But basically, this was reported that the iPhone 12 is 21% more expensive to make than the iPhone 11, which I found this article interesting because this is not normally what we hear about. Normally, what makes headlines and what turns heads is finding out that, oh, a $700 or $800 iPhone costs Apple $350 or $400 to make. But if you consider all of the different components that go into the iPhone 12 that are definitely more expensive, most likely the display being a big part of them. Of course, the A14 chip development is included in there. You have to retool a lot of the factory with the squared off chassis. So there's very little carried over, like with the iPhone 12 lineup, there was very little new, not new. There was very little reused parts from previous generation iPhones. I mean, they were updating cameras, they were updating the glass, they were updating the chassis, they were updating the display, and all that stuff requires tons of different tinkering. But if it costs Apple 26% more, if you do some simple math there, you can figure out that means the profit margin on the iPhone 12 is likely thinner and not as thick as the iPhone 11 was. Some of you might just say, well, that's because the iPhone 11 sucked and the profit margin was too high. Reasonable. And of 5G, of course, I'm sure 5G modems played into effect there as well. But it's difficult to figure out the exact profit margin, but if you consider all the years of software development that goes into it. But if you think about the costs being 26% higher, that would have equated if Apple wanted to assure that the profit margin going from iPhone 11 to iPhone 12 stayed the same, they would have increased the price by like $180. But they didn't. They increased the price by $100, which means that most likely the profit margin on the 12 is thinner than that of the 11, probably substantially so. I would say it's not quite half, but like maybe 30 or 40% thinner than it was on the iPhone 11. So as people got mad about removing the charge brick and stuff, seeing how much more it costs to build an iPhone like that, to me starts to make sense as to why they're thinking if they can cut corners or save some money elsewhere, because of course the iPhone 11 did come with a charge brick. However much money it costs to include, I'm sure it's not much. But when you're battling on, this report says iPhone 12 millimeter wave smartphone will cost up to a 128 gig. Okay, it will cost them $431, 26% higher compared to iPhone 11. So when the cost of the parts alone, not everything, but when the cost of the parts alone are equaling $431 to build, if you can cut a couple bucks off by making thinner packaging or not including the brick that you're finding out a lot of people aren't utilizing anyway, or not including the headphones, that kind of thing, I see why they make that choice. Like, to me, it makes sense. And I would still make the argument that I think the iPhone 12 is a much better value overall than the 11 for what you're getting at $100 more. Sure, is it more expensive? Yes, but is it overpriced or is it overvalued? I don't think so. I think that it makes sense that the iPhone 12 is going to be the best seller because it's just kind of the best of everything put together. I really wanted to see the 12 mini do well, but I guess it isn't. People want the bigger screen. But anyway, that's interesting report. Mac Rumors posted it, and can read a bit of it here. Assuming a 38% millimeter wave mix, the blended materials cost for the iPhone 12 with 128 gigs of NAND flash is nearly $415, a 21% increase over its predecessor application processor. 5G baseband display and 5G RF components represent the major areas of the cost increase. So the fact that Apple only increased the price by $100 or $130, I guess, if you buy unlocked, is honestly, it could have been worse, is all I'm trying to say, because in years prior, adopting OLED is the most expensive part. So that used to be a $1,000 thing. Now it's a $700 thing. So, and adopting 5G, everybody got hit with the 5G tax, Androids included. Um, so yeah, it's everybody got hit a bit. Whoa, 1,000 bits from Chris Norton. Thank you very much. Hello, entertaining me in lockdown. Yeah, I'm doing my best here. Let's see. Latest financials: income 273 billion, expenses 206 billion. So yes, 25% profit margin. But that's for this year. What I'm saying is the cost of what you're getting out of that iPhone is still costing Apple years down the road, the years of maintaining it and the years of updating iOS. 6 years of software development is not free. It's free to the consumer, but it's not free for Apple. And I feel like that's something we don't take into consideration, especially when buying Androids, because they only get 3 years of updates and then the companies give up on them. But anyway, profit for a new brick with USB-C. Since profit margins are thinner on the 12, they're maximizing by selling the new brick. Yeah, I think that's part of it. I don't think a lot of people are buying. I mean, maybe more people than before, but I'm saying percentage-wise, it would be an interesting statistic for Apple to release. I think the percent of people who bought a new iPhone who also bought a new charge brick is fairly low. My guess is it's like less than 10% of new iPhone buyers. I think the vast majority, 90% or so, are probably just going to use whatever they were charging their last iPhone with. I know it doesn't really count, but anecdotally, I know several people who upgraded in my family. I know a few people who bought the 12 Pro Max. They did not buy. They definitely did not buy new bricks. When you have to make the tough decision to either talk on Drew's chat or eat your sandwich. Eat your sandwich, Yusuf. Just eat it. You don't have to type in the chat. What's your prediction for how much it will cost to make a 13? Because the 13, I'm still torn on 13 or 12S. I think it'll be 12S, but we'll just say 13 for the sake of simplicity. I think the 13 might drop in price a little bit because it's so similar. And Apple's probably going to try really hard this year to make BOE or LG more dominant in the OLED supply chain so that they can actually get them cheaper. Because in case you're curious why the iPhone 10 costs so much or why adopting OLED is so much more expensive, it's because Samsung is pretty much the only company right now that can actually produce OLED displays at scale that they can adopt them to the iPhone lineup. Because if you're selling a phone that only sells 3-4 million units a year, it's really easy to adopt OLED because Samsung can just divert a few OLED displays for you. But if you're putting them in an iPhone, that means you have to be able to build 30, 40, 50 million of them in a matter of months, and that's not easy to do. And Apple does not vertically integrate their production facilities. So Samsung, yes, builds the displays for Apple, and because they're outsourcing them, that costs Apple more money, because if Samsung is adopting OLED to their own phones, they're more vertically integrated, so it costs them less. That's why Samsung has had OLED for so long. But if you're selling them out to Apple, and Apple's going to put a huge bottleneck on OLED display production, yeah, it's going to cost you way more. So Apple's been trying for the past few years to switch to other supply chains like LG, and they tried to do BOE this year, but it sounds like it didn't go through, or BOE wasn't producing the displays at a good enough yield rate or a decent enough quality, or they're running into issues with BOE. So they're probably going to try again this year and see if they can get them cheaper. But if there is a price reduction, I don't expect a big one. Like if they do end up reducing the price on the 13, I would say it wouldn't apply to the Pro models. Let's get that out of the way. I still fully expect 13 Pro or 13 Pro Max still going to be $1,000 and $1,100. I don't think they'll go up. Adopting 120 hertz LTPO OLED panels, I don't think will be that expensive. So it's just a supply chain problem, really. So I'm still expecting the 13 Pro and 13 Pro Max to be $1,000 and $1,100. But when it comes to the 10S Max is a bad name. I know 12S Pro Max is a bad name, but Apple's proven they're willing to do bad names. Having the letter X and then the letter S and then Max is stupid. But they did it. They're willing to do it because everyone pronounced it XS Max, which was awful. And I thought 11 Pro Max was pretty stupid. We're just used to it. But anyway, when it comes to the entry level iPhones, like the 13 and 13 mini, if there is, hopefully there is a mini. Um, if there is a price reduction, I expect it to be around like $50 maximum. I mean, best case scenario, even if they don't lower the price $50, they at least let the unlocked price be the same as the locked price. Something I'm annoyed with that they did last year was, if you buy it unlocked, it costs you an extra $30. If you buy it on contract, it's actually $700 and $800. So, yeah, I don't like when they do that, but to be fair, it's not the first time they've done it. They did very similar things with the first like 5 generations of iPhones. They were always listing the on contract price, not the unlocked price, and they would always give you deals or discounts if you bought it on contract versus unlocked. So it's not new, but it's still annoying. Um, let's see. Apple easily has enough money to build their own factories and pay upfront to supplier for production capacity. Yeah, I know we talked about that last stream, but I definitely agree. If Apple's looking to blow a bunch of money, if Apple's looking for their next big investment, I think we were talking about this because the Apple Car, Apple Car is too late. Let me just throw that out there. New info, lots of competition in the EV space, and Tesla is crushing it, and Tesla is scaling production like no other. And even if you're just making a car for it to be autonomous completely, Apple's too late. So I personally, if I was in charge at Apple, or if Tim Cook, Santa Cook, came to my house and was like, Drew, I've glued my hands together, but I want to ask you, what should we do with Apple? We're sitting on tens of billions of dollars. What should we invest in outside of the normal, R&D and Apple Glass and all that? I would say don't blow all your money on a car. Mass producing EVs is very expensive, very risky business, very difficult to make profitable. So you're too late, Apple. Sorry. You may have had a shot if you got invested into EVs a couple years ago, but beginning of 2021 and you still got nothing announced and you still don't have a factory being built. The fact that they simply just don't have a factory being built right now, to me, is proof it's too late. But I would say they should invest in their own factories. And yeah, they can be in China. I'm not saying they have to be domestic because that would be really expensive, but you could at least compete with Foxconn a little bit and make your own facilities there that have better pay than Foxconn, make sure they have better working conditions, and make sure nobody's exploited. That way, you don't have to worry about, tapping into certain supply chains that are unreliable or unethical, which is what keeps happening right now. So if they wanted to blow a bunch of billions on something, put it into your own factory lines. They don't have to be in America. I know that's too expensive, but just places that you could have more control over, being more vertically integrated, of course, with your mass production. That's what Tesla's doing, and I think it's working out for them. It's doomsday in it. I like that. I like the British jokes. I have British heritage, okay? So my mother's side of the family comes from England, so I have direct ties there. So I can make the joke. It's doomsday in it. Hope everybody's having a fantastic Thursday. It's Tuesday 2 days ago, wasn't it? Every time I've heard you talk about iPhone getting USB-C, you say that it would be so great to grab one charger and get to charge all your devices with it on a road trip, right? I'm thinking there is no way I could manage keeping some battery in all my devices with one charge, especially if I'm not at home. Maybe you can't, but at least if you needed to, you could only bring one cable. I mean, I would much rather just take 2 cables that are both USB-C. That way I don't have to check them when I pull them out of my bag. Is this the Lightning cable or is this a USB-C cable? Because one end of the Lightning cable is USB-C because Apple never made Lightning to Lightning. That never became a thing. So you can pull one cable out and be like, oh, it's USB-C. And then you pull the other side out. Oh, wait, this is Lightning. This won't charge my MacBook. If you need 2 cables, fine, bring 2 cables. But wouldn't it be nice if it didn't matter if you had to check? Like that's kind of the point of switching to a reversible symmetrical standard, is you can just pull a cable out of your bag and for a fact that's the right cable. You don't have to check it. You don't have to look. Is this my Lightning or my USB-C cable? I can't tell. So that's why I would really prefer it as a consumer to adopt USB-C. It would probably result in a bunch of e-waste if they did it on the iPhone. So it's not a perfect solution. Personally, I don't think Apple needs to go portless this year, but They don't. They didn't need to remove the headphone jack in 2016. Apple removes the port when they want people to quickly adopt another standard. That's an important thing to remember. So people always freak out when they hear about Apple removing the charge port, um, because they're like, "Well, what's the point? Like, why is Apple removing it? Like, what's the advantage?" Great question. Not much of an advantage, but personally, like if you look through history, I noticed that Apple always they never really remove something because no one's using it. Okay, even in the Mac days, even like the early Macintosh, like in the 90s, Apple would remove something when they believed there was a better standard that people weren't adopting fast enough. And they would remove the port to accelerate that adoption. So if Apple's removing the charge port on the iPhone, it's not because they don't think anyone's using it. In fact, I'm sure Apple was well aware when they removed the headphone jack that lots of people were using it. But they just believed not enough people are switching to wireless and we want more wireless adoption. And this is how we accelerate towards newer, better technology. So they're probably thinking now, MagSafe is the newer, better technology. We want everything to go to MagSafe or Qi charging of some kind and just keep pushing MagSafe more and more. So removing the charge port will help fast adoption of MagSafe take over. You can like it or disagree with it, but I'm guessing that's their logic with it, and they will likely address it on stage and talk about why they're doing it. And I think security is going to play a role in that. They're going to be like, well, this helps us more secure the content on your phone. But personally, I still think it's a bad idea to remove it in 2021 because there's not good enough reasons to upgrade. It's a different argument. It's not that I use the Lightning port, I need the Lightning port, so don't remove it, Apple. I really don't. I can't think of the last time I used Lightning on my phone, and I could totally get by with a portless design. That's not bothering me, the consumer. What bothers me is like a fan or admirer of Apple. In years prior, when they removed a port or they changed to a new standard, they typically had something else going on that was exciting that made people want to buy that new product. With the iPhone 7, it was like the telephoto lens, portrait mode, water resistance, stereo speakers, A10 chip. You know, there was all this great stuff coming out with the iPhone 7 that people wanted it. And because of everyone's desire for it, they were like, okay, I guess I won't live with the headphone jack anymore. But I don't think we have those great justifiable features coming this year. I don't really know if they're coming any year, really. I feel like smartphone innovation and new things to get excited for with smartphones is plateauing and becoming more and more difficult to find out, like, exactly why should I upgrade my iPhone? You know, what's the main motivator? It's becoming more and more tech specky things like, well, 120 hertz or I want LiDAR, you know, stuff like that. Which I don't think the average consumer is going to care about. Maybe they can push it with Touch ID. So, yeah, it's tough. I don't know. I don't think it's going to go well either way. The e-waste argument all falls apart if you remove Lightning. Neum Regan, thank you for the 10 bits, says, what are your thoughts on if Samsung was just a smartphone company and Apple and LG were the display, refrigerator, smartphone, television, washing machine manufacturing kings instead? Be weird. I'll give you that. Would be a very different world to have Apple. Well, LG makes refrigerators and smartphones and televisions. I think they even make washing machines. But if Apple were to do all those things, yeah, it would be quite bizarre. Coda Man 01, thank you for the Twitch Prime for 6 months, says, do you get more money when we rewatch streams on YouTube or Twitch? I don't know. Do whatever's more convenient for you. I don't think it makes that big a difference. I think maybe YouTube, but that's okay. Like, whichever doesn't, you know, if you have YouTube Premium, just do YouTube. I think actually that's the correct answer. If you have Premium, then do YouTube. But if you don't have Premium, it doesn't matter. The CPMs between Twitch and YouTube are, when it comes to ad rev, are pretty close, I think. Don't worry about it though. You should don't let that influence your decision. I'll be fine either way. Make a USB-C MagSafe charger. It has a detachable USB-C to USB-C cable, and just carry your iPhone with the MagSafe on it. That way you can charge your iPhone, iPad, and Mac with one cable. Well, I can't make it myself, but maybe someone else will. I don't know how possible it is to add a little port to this and make it a puck. It might need all of that space, so you'd have to keep the USB-C part like outside, which would be kind of weird. But maybe, yeah, something like that would be interesting. not a bad idea. Hitarth Dixit. um, I don't really understand how they created USB-C and don't want to move to it. I think Apple doesn't want to move to things they don't see themselves adopting for a long time. So, they ditched 30 pin in favor of Lightning, and now they've been using Lightning for how long? Has it been 10 years? It's coming up on, I think we're on year 9. Like, they want to, if they adopt a new standard, it's because they want to use it for like a decade. And Apple thinks that they're going to remove the charge port in the next decade. So there's no point in adopting USB-C now if they're going to remove it later. So my guess is that's why they don't want to adopt it. Like, if they thought that they were going to keep USB-C for another 10 years, then they would adopt it, but they don't. So that's my guess. Let's see. No one desperately asked for wireless audio technology. Apple just created. Oh, okay. 10 bits from Neum. I think this will answer my question. What do you mean by Apple didn't have to remove the headphone jack? They certainly did have to remove the headphone jack. Otherwise, what's the incentive for others to better wireless technology? Manufacturers wouldn't continue pushing out earbuds with the headphone jack. None of that stuff is like necessary for human survival or Apple's survival, really, though. That's my point, as they didn't have to. Yes, all of removing the jack allowed them to do all those things, but it's not like Apple was going to be doomed or Apple was going to go bankrupt if they kept the headphone jack. Like, there's no argument to admit why they'd be in trouble if they kept the headphone jack on the iPhone 7. They probably would have done fine. In fact, I don't even think it make that big a difference. Like, if the iPhone 7 did have a headphone jack, probably would have sold just as much as it did without it. And I personally think AirPods still would have sold really well even if the headphone jack was still on the iPhone 7. I think that the success came from the convenience and the wireless connectivity, and Apple just realized, well, if we're going to be pushing wireless, the jack isn't really going to be very useful moving forward, so we might as well just get rid of it and add some more battery life or add some more water resistance and stuff like that. Like, they would have been fine if they kept it, but they removed it because they didn't see the point in it anymore. And they knew people were using it, but they were like, well, moving forward, we're going to have the push towards wireless. So how much of a cut do you get from YouTube Premium subscribers? It's not a percentage. I just know that YouTube Premium is unaffected by the advertiser pool. So on YouTube, our CPMs change a lot during the year dependent on how many advertisers are paying for ads. So 1,000 views will get you a lot more money in December than it will in January, because December is a busy holiday shopping time. So there's a lot more money spent on advertising. Whereas YouTube Premium is the same price throughout the year. So the cut that YouTube gives us from premium subscribers is higher. I don't know the exact percentage. I don't know if there is an exact one. It probably fluctuates. But content creators you watch more on premium will get a larger percentage of what you pay for premium. So it's more consistent, basically. Like, if everybody paid for premium, I know that won't happen, but if everyone paid for premium, YouTubers would make way more money than they're making right now, because it would be completely separate from the advertiser pool, which is always changing. If Apple hadn't removed the jack in wireless earbud industry, it wouldn't have advanced as fast. You're right. I agree. It wouldn't have advanced as fast, and there wouldn't be as many people buying wireless headphones, but that doesn't mean Apple would be dead, as in, that's my argument about Apple wouldn't be dead if they kept the headphone jack. Sure, wireless headphones would not have advanced as quickly, yes, but that doesn't mean they had to. It wasn't like they were forced to remove it. They chose to remove it because they wanted to advance wireless, which is fine. They're waiting for 10 years of Lightning. I think 10 years of Lightning would be next year, though. I know Kuzith was asking earlier, do I think they'll remove the charge port this year? I feel like there's still a decent chance they won't. I'm sure they're considering it, because they've been considering it for a long time. They wanted to remove the charge port basically as soon as Qi charging was adopted, but they've kept it. But no, I think they're still weighing their options. Nothing's finalized yet. Prototyping's not done. It's January. There's not going to be a final design or anything Apple's agreed to until May or June, I believe, is when they start finalizing stuff and just work on mass production. But yeah, they've got plenty of time to decide if they want to. Oh no, what's going on? No, come back. My internet got all laggy for some reason. Comcast, what the heck? What are you doing? Okay, internet's back for some reason. I just dropped to 0 on OBS for no reason. Ugh. I'm paying $140 a month for this crap. Stupid monopolies. I can't change anybody else. This sucks. Okay, hopefully the internet doesn't freak out again. Seems to be working now. Let's see. Lightning is turning 9 years old this year. The 30-pin connector lasted 9 years. Lightning is due to be replaced by nothing but wireless connection this year, at least in Apple's logic. Maybe that's their logic, but I felt like there were a lot of reasons to get the iPhone 5 over the 4S, and there were some exciting developments in the iPhone department, and people were still, the smartphone wave was still rising. Rising. I don't have Chrome open, no. The RAM isn't going to damage OBS. That's not the problem. But yeah, I felt like there were a lot of reasons to upgrade back when the Lightning was introduced, and it was so much better than 30-pin, whereas I don't know if I could say MagSafe is like significantly better than Lightning. It's a little bit better. It's like slightly more convenient in some circumstances, but a lot of people would argue it's less convenient in certain circumstances. And yeah, I don't know. It doesn't. I don't think it'll be a great motivator. I don't think Apple's going to be struggling this year to find reasons for people to upgrade. And if there's any reasons to not upgrade, like removal of a port or something, that's just going to, that's just going to backfire on them, I think, and just result in worse sales, which is probably why they're doing it on just the Pro models. At least that's what most of the rumors have been saying, that they'll just, ditch the Lightning port for all MagSafe on the 13 Pro and 13 Pro Max, but they'll keep it on the entry-level models. That way, most people will still be able to use Lightning, but the pros, they can afford MagSafe accessories, right? They can buy all new stuff. They can buy all those new Anchor charge stands or whatever that came out. Those look cool. I kind of want to get one, but I don't need to charge my phone at my desk that much because it just charges overnight. But maybe I just leave it unplugged and just let it be a MagSafe stand that holds the phone upright, because that does sound cool. Lightning was also better than micro USB. Keep in mind, at the time Lightning was introduced, USB-C wasn't out yet. Oh yeah, it was miles better than anything Android had at the time. But I think the first USB-C on Android phones came out was it like 2 years after Lightning came out? It wasn't terribly long. 2016? Okay, so it was more like 4 years? Was there really no USB-C on anything until 2016? I thought it was 2015 or 14. They should ditch the port on the Mini in favor of a bigger battery. I wouldn't be against that, but the sales for the 12 Mini are already pretty bad, so if they come up with reasons to not upgrade to the 12 Mini, they're kind of shooting themselves in the foot. People are saying 2015, 2016 wasn't widely adopted until 2016, 2017. I think it was the S8. Well, I remember the S8 getting it, but I thought other phones were adopting it too. Not sure. There were USB-C phones in 2015, but it wasn't like mainstream. Yeah, well, I mean, we can make the same argument. Not everybody bought the iPhone 5 the year it came out. So there were still a lot of people with 30 pins in 2012 and 2013 because not everybody bought the iPhone 5. So we can make that same argument with Lightning. LG V20. When I travel, I have to carry 4 cables: MagSafe, Lightning, USB-C, and the Watch Puck. I can forgive the Watch Puck for obvious reasons, but no reason why the iPhone, iPad, and Mac shouldn't have the same connector. Do you have to carry 4 though? That's why I like MagSafe Duo. Why do you need to carry MagSafe and Lightning? Do you have an iPad that charges via Lightning? Could that be why? I kind of forget that a lot of iPads are still on Lightning. Most iPads are still on Lightning. Just drop MagSafe. If you have Lightning, yeah, you should be able to charge your iPhone off that. Old Mac MagSafe. Yeah, we still use that. So enthusiasts who like the Mini can get the Mini and be enthusiastic about MagSafe. If you get a Mini, you are saving $500, which you can spend on MagSafe and wireless chargers. Yeah, the argument can kind of be made both ways when you think about it. On one hand, you could say remove the charge port from the cheaper iPhones because you'll be getting better battery, and you can use that money to buy. You can save money and use that money on MagSafe. Or you could make the argument that if you're dropping $1,000 or $1,100 on an iPhone, getting an extra MagSafe cable isn't too hard for you because you're already dropping, a few $100 on. You're already dropping $1,000 on a phone. What's an extra $20-$40? So just make the inconvenience for the richer demographics because they don't mind replacing their old accessories, but at the same time, 12 mini would probably benefit the most out of the lineup from removing the charge port. I wouldn't mind it at all. Like if you guys want dream iPhone time for Drew, it's remove the lightning port, expand the battery life by about 2 hours, and then make this 120 hertz display. Cool. Awesome phone now. Frosted glass on the back. Still keep the aluminum. Perfect. That'd be fine. Let's see. 10 bits from Neum. We both know Apple has a ridiculous amount of money that they don't know what to do with. I bet they have ideas. What are your thoughts on Apple not investing in an EV, but instead investing in a search engine? I would use an iSearch. I just downloaded a copy of all my Google and YouTube data. It took the company 17.2 days to process it all, and I was shocked to see everything they have on me. I was able to go back to my 10-year-old YouTube comments. Yeah, I do that sometimes. I don't think they need to invest in an EV. I think it's too late for that, and it would just be a rich toy. I think if Apple made an EV, it would be six figures, and it wouldn't change much for the EV landscape. And I don't think their talent and engineers should work on that. But there has been a lot of evidence that they're working on their own search engine. They probably already have one built and prototyped, and they're just waiting to launch it. The thing is, Google pays them billions of dollars a year to not release it. So having a company pay you tens of billions of dollars every year to do nothing is very tempting to get them to stop doing that. Because if Apple were to launch their own search engine, and probably, of course, make that the default search engine for Safari and all their devices, they would instantly miss out on tens of billions of dollars a year from Google, who just pays them to keep Google as the default search engine. So they instantly lose a bunch of money. And yeah, you can make money on a search engine, but through ad revenue and, paid links being up higher. But could Apple instantly make all that money back? Probably not. Maybe in the long run they could, but how much ad rev would Apple actually make from their own search engine? They're probably researching that. And I'm guessing it's not going to be as high as Google's. So they get a lot of money to do nothing. But yeah, I bet a lot of people, especially in this chat, would switch to an Apple search engine if it was available to them. But they might have to, because if they get in more antitrust hearings and the government decides that deal they have going on, and there is a lot of federal congressmen and women that are concerned about big tech partnering up and making exclusive deals for each other like that. So if the governments decide that you can't do that and you can't have Google pay you $10 billion a year just to keep the search engine the same, and you have to be more competitive, if the courts decide that, then Apple will have to come up with their own search engine, or they'll default everybody to DuckDuckGo or something like that. It's a messy situation. Let's see. Do you think they would have the courage to remove the port without putting MagSafe charger in the box? Yeah, Apple could probably get away with that. I don't think they'll do it, but they probably could. They would fairly easily get away with just telling people, you got to buy a MagSafe cable. You don't have one? That'll be their reaction, right? They'll be like, you didn't already buy MagSafe accessories? They'll just tell you to use your pre-existing Qi chargers. I don't have any Qi chargers. It's like, well, you better get some. There's no way around it. But Apple will more than likely, when they remove the charge port, just tell you got to buy some new stuff. Does that suck? Yes. Are we going to live with it? Probably. Are other companies going to follow with it? Yeah. There's always these transitions when everybody gets angry and mad, but then, they just keep doing what they're doing. They've got a very, very strong Apple sheep army that even I question the blindness of sometimes. Even I'm like, really? You guys like the AirPods Max that much? Why? Why are so many people buying the 12 Pro Max? Really? Or the 12 Pro? You're willing to spend an extra $100 for the steel and the, you know, even I sometimes I'm just like, what? How? Why do you get by? We'll say Apple it or I search it. I don't think we'll say any of those things. You know, a lot of people don't say Google it. The truth is, a lot of people will probably just keep saying Google it, even if they're not Googling it, even if they're using iSearch or Apple search or whatever. They'll still probably just say Google it because it's just become a part of our. Google it has become, you know, a verb. It's become part of our everyday vocabulary. And there's a lot of people saying just look it up. That's the other way. You don't have to say Siri it or iSearch it. You don't have to make it a verb. You can just say look it up online. A lot of people I hear still say that, but I think the verb Google it will probably stick around even if you're not actually using Google. Yeah, even if they're using Spotlight, they're probably still going to say Google it. How people call tablets iPads and all laptops MacBooks. I don't know of everybody calling laptops MacBooks, but I have heard a lot of people refer to non-iPads as iPads. I got my own little iPad here, and it's not, you know, some Android tablet. It's like, are you gonna correct them on it? Or think of all the products people buy that they call AirPods that aren't AirPods. Like all these AirPods competitors or cheaper AirPod clones. Like even my parents bought some. My mom got some like cheap knockoff AirPods. She was like, "Oh, I'm really happy with these. They were only $30, and they're my own little AirPods." So they call them AirPods. They're not, but people still call them that. Yeah, just like Band-Aid. It just becomes part of our vocabulary. Memory sticks. Only reason I bought a Pro Max because of the screen size. If they had to launch a regular Max, that would have been my go-to. Yeah, I probably would have been tempted by that too. Man, if they made a Max-sized iPhone out of aluminum that was cheaper, oh. Yeah, even ditch the telephoto and LiDAR. I think I would get that, to be honest with you. That would have been a very interesting dilemma because I was very split between the 12 mini and the 12 Pro Max. But if I could have gotten the same display as the Pro Max, but for cheaper, maybe it depends how much cheaper. Maybe if it was like $200 cheaper, I would have been like, I don't know. Drew, you know your product or service is successful when it becomes a verb, like just Venmo me. I just Venmo'd you. Just Google it. I don't know that many people that say Venmo me. Though I'm not interacting with that many people. Has Venmo become a verb for many of you guys? Or check out my Tesla. It's a Nissan Leaf. No, I don't know a lot of people doing that, to be honest. Venmo has died. No, normally the people I've interacted with have just said, like, just wire me some money or just wire me some cash or something like that. I haven't heard a lot of people say Venmo me. That's incorporating the brand pretty closely. There's also people incorporating words or vernacular that aren't even that don't even exist. Like a bunch of people have said iWatch. Tons of people I've heard say iWatch in responding to the Apple Watch, even though that's never really been a thing. Just Taylosive Tech it. What does that mean? Milk it and turn it into a 6-minute video? Yeah, you gotta wire money. We had to wire money when we bought our house. I think some people pay with a check, but most people wire money when you buy a house. I've heard people say that, though. Using superchargers for your Prius. Dinkata says, I definitely would spend $100 for the 12 Pro over the 12 simply because the extra 2 gigs of RAM will save me a lot of time not having to reopen apps and having my tweets/comments lost just because I opened the camera app. I just haven't noticed that. Seriously. Like, I don't notice the RAM being closed in the background thing. And I have 4 gigs of RAM on my iPad Pro. And I switch between Discord and Twitter and whatever. I don't know. Maybe it's just we use our phones differently. But the 2 gigs of RAM thing, I do not notice at all. Switching from the 12 Pro Max to the 12 Mini. I didn't notice apps closing in the background and having to reopen. Or if they did, it would still happen on the Max. I feel like if it made a noticeable difference, they would have brought it up. They would have said the pros are better at multitasking or something, but they didn't. If Apple's not bringing it up, you know it's not going to be that applicable. Does your family not have Cash App? No, no one in my family uses Cash App. I don't use Cash App. Everyone I know uses Venmo or PayPal. Some people, I guess, use Apple Pay, but not that many. Katrina says, I wire money regularly. Takes about 3 seconds on my banking app for it to arrive, and it costs nothing. See, there you go. There's a lot of advantages there. There you go. AirPods Max are Apple's best product. Oh, God. I hope you're being sarcastic. Oh, no, don't go there. I heard Apple's working on some, what's it called? Gallium nitrate or something like that. The type of tech they incorporated into the Anchor charge bricks that makes them so small. You know, Anchor's able to make a 20-watt USB-C charge brick that's the size of Apple's 5-watt charge brick. And it sounds like in 2021, Apple's going to make some of their own. I'm trying to find that article, but it sounded interesting. So you might expect some smaller charge bricks to come soon, which is kind of interesting because they've not really changed. Gallium nitrate, that's what it was. I don't know where I got Gathium from. GAN, gallium nitride. Why is my Mini still slower than my 11 Pro? At what? What are you doing on it? Depends. Let's see. Apple knows how to make things popular. Maybe they changed this game. What, the search engine thing? Sometimes. I mean, Apple can make certain things popular, but that's not a guaranteed thing. Apple has tried to make a lot of things popular that don't become popular. You just don't know about them because we forget it they existed. Like the app clips thing. Remember that at Quadruple UDC? They were like, you'll be able to put this little QR code on all your businesses and then have these little app clips show up. Like no one did that. Remember iTunes Ping? Apple tried to make Mobile Me. They've tried to make their own social media network several times, and it's always failed. Apple Music Connect. There was a whole social media side of Apple Music. That all died. that didn't work out. HomePod, up until the HomePod Mini, you know, the regular the regular HomePod, that did not really get popular over time. So yes, sometimes Apple can make things super popular, but oh, there it goes again. OBS. Relax, Xfinity. Relax. You're fine. Relax. My goodness. What is with them today? No, Chrome's not open. Okay. Whatever. QR codes are big in China, but are app clips big in China? I'm not saying they're all bad ideas. Like, I'm not saying Apple making their own social media is a bad idea. I'm not saying that iTunes Ping or whatever, you know, any of their unsuccessful things were bad ideas. I'm just saying that Apple has tried to make things popular that aren't popular. Slofies. There's another great example. When was the last time you guys watched a Slofie someone posted? They're not super popular. Apple has made lots of things that did not catch on. If Apple made a real TV, it would probably be super duper expensive and not. I mean, they make a 32-inch monitor and it's $6,000. So if they made a TV, I would probably not get it. Let's see. I'll try to address some of these earlier questions that I got lagged over. You can call Comcast and get a credit. You won't be charged for today because the internet isn't working well. I, for some reason, doubt that. Just use 5G. Problem solved. I want to make an app clip for my marketing teacher's business. Yeah, there might be lots of people who want to make app clips, but I'm just saying, Apple can't just make anything popular. They make certain things popular, but not everything. There's a crazy fast charger from a Kickstarter company. Well, that's how you know it doesn't exist. That is 200 watt and has 4 USB-C ports, but is just about 30% bigger than the MacBook Pro's 16-inch power brick. If they could actually make that, that would be cool. I'll believe it when they actually deliver it to people. Did you know the new Surface Laptop Go has rounded corners? It does? I want to see that thing. Surface Laptop Go. Let me see. How new are we talking here? This is on Best Buy's website. Are they rounded? I can barely tell. If they're rounded, they're very barely rounded. I can't get a good close-up image. Just slightly. It's very slight though. It's a very, very tiny amount of curvature. That's probably how Apple should do it. I guess if the stream is frozen, you could try refreshing it because it seems to. I'm seeing the preview of what Twitch is seeing, and it seems to be working now. But I was waiting for you to talk about the iPad Mini 6. Well, now you've got a video for it. If Apple made a TV, it would be a stretched out iPad Pro. That's the thing. I am not the type of person to want to drop thousands of dollars on a TV because I don't notice big differences when it comes to colors and darkness and OLED pixels being completely off. I don't really notice that type of thing very much. I appreciate refresh rate and frame rate, and I appreciate resolution. Those types of things I notice. But the fact is, I can get a 4K 55-inch TV for like under $400 with a Roku built into it, and I think the picture looks great. I've been watching movies and TV shows on it for the past few years, and it's looked fantastic. Very little complaints with it. So I don't have much desire to drop like several $1,000s on anything that's just like, oh, slightly better dynamic range. It's like, we all notice and appreciate different things, right? So probably a lot of you don't care about refresh rate, but may care about colors, and that's fine. It's all personal preference stuff. But for me, at least, I am very happy with the $400 TV in my living room. I don't notice any issues with it, so I'm just gonna keep using it. But if no, it's lagging again. Oh my god. Okay, we're cursed. We can't make this work. All right, I'm giving up. I give up, folks. Internet is trash today. Oh, is it back? Now as soon as I write that message, it comes back. Ugh. Apple TV that is a touchscreen. Oh no, please don't do that. I'm upgrading for my 11 Pro Max. Changed to 1080 at 30. No, it's not the frame rate. I'm looking at the kilobits per second. It's the bandwidth. It keeps fluctuating between like, it'll suddenly go to 0, and then it'll fluctuate between 0 and 50, which is not enough. I need it to be around like 2,000 or 4,000. 480p wouldn't work. It's if your kilobit rate is 0, it doesn't matter. You're gonna lag if it's 140p. It's not the resolution that's the problem. No, that's not it. If the kilobit rate's dropping to 0, then the bandwidth's not gonna work. Doesn't matter. Anyway, we will turn Apple TV into a real TV. Yeah. Am I the only one who liked the shows in Apple Music? Yes. Just you. It didn't make sense for Apple Music. I feel like it should have been done better on TV Plus. Well, TV Plus wasn't a thing when they did those shows. I tried watching Planet of the Apps. It was okay. It was kind of weird. I know they were going for a Shark Tank thing, but wasn't very interesting. Wasn't super entertaining. What was funny was that all the apps they were talking about on the show, they were like, wow, this app is going to be great. We're going to have great app out of this. But then you look up the app after the show has aired, and like it's tanked and it never turned into anything. So you can look up after the fact, but yeah, wasn't really that interesting. I understand why they didn't continue doing it. Okay. Let's see. I enjoyed Long Way Up For All Mankind. I didn't watch For All Mankind. I did not watch For All Mankind, but I did enjoy Long Way Up. Yeah, I wouldn't pay money for it, but it's still free. It's been 15 months of TV Plus, and it's still not costed me a penny. So I'll just have it as long as it's free. But I would not have spent money on it. Adds a small screen to the Apple TV box. Throw in a battery while you're at it. Now it's an iPhone. It's a square-shaped iPhone. Let's see. What's your opinion on Elon becoming the richest person? I don't know if that's how we should measure richness, because it's all because of stock. Like Jeff Bezos being richest, or Bill Gates being richest, or Elon Musk being richest. It's not cash. It's all just because they have been granted a certain amount of stocks to a certain company. And I believe there's even certain rules or certain restrictions they have to follow on how much stock they're allowed to sell at a given time. So I don't even think Elon could suddenly just sell all of his stock and have $190 billion in cash on hand. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but I don't even think he can do that. So I don't know if it's really accurate to measure someone's net worth just based on how much stock is tied to their name. Um, I don't know. It's kind of a weird way of measuring it, but like we know Elon's not gonna just sell off a bunch of it. Um, yeah, you can sell a few billion. I know Jeff sells a few billion a year, but are we gonna say he has $180 billion if he can only sell off 2 billion a year? That's I don't know. It's kind of different. It's all because of their stock price. It's not. I think that's what a lot of people misunderstand when they read about like, oh, he became the richest person. A lot of people on Twitter just get angry and mad that someone's that rich, and then just say that's terrible. He should give that away. Like Tesla is just paying him every day. Like people are thinking that Elon Musk gets a $1 billion check from Tesla every single day. Here you go, Elon. Thank you for your hard work. Here you go, Elon. Thank you for the hard work. It's like we, the market, as investors, decide what these shares are worth. It's not Elon. Elon's the guy on the record for saying that the stock price is too high. He thinks that there's too many people buying into this stock. He thinks it grows too quickly and it's too big. So it's not really up to him. It's not like he decided I'm going to become a $200 billion heir, a billionaire. It's just we put the value in that, and he is. I think someone retweeted something he tweeted back in 2018 that stuck out to me. If we're gonna have a rich person on Earth, I would rather it be Elon. I feel like $190 billion in his hands is better than most other human beings. He said, about half my money is intended to help problems on Earth, and half to help establish a self-sustaining city on Mars to ensure continuation of life of all species in case Earth gets hit by a meteor like the dinosaurs or World War III happens and we destroy ourselves. All right? I think the motivation there is pretty good, right? Like, he's pouring in all of his time and money to make sure that we have zero emission vehicles, and he wants to accelerate. Tesla is trying to lower the price of solar, invest more into cheaper batteries so that we can have more off-grid storage, and he's using all the rest of his money to make us a multiplanetary species so that we can have a self-sustaining city on Mars in case something bad happens to Earth. I'd say that's a pretty good use of capital, right? So Elon Musk technically having the highest net worth, that's, good for him. Congratulations. It's not, I think it's very easy to get high and mighty with people and just be like, well, I don't have that much money, but if I did, I would be the most generous. I would give it all away. But that's kind of a double-edged sword too, because I bet all of the complaints people have about Elon Musk being the richest, they probably would have had similar criticisms when he sold PayPal, the first time he became a billionaire and had lots of money to his name. I bet a lot of people were like, well, he should just give that away, or he should give it to people who need it, or he should donate to charity. And sure, those are noble causes, but if he would have done that, he wouldn't have 200 billion now. So when do we draw the line with his growing value? Like right now, he could, if he wanted to, he could give billions of dollars to charity at the drop of a hat. But if he would have given it all away 20 years ago, that wouldn't have been possible. And how do we know we're depriving of him of that choice right now? What if his net worth is $3 trillion in 3 decades from now? Then he could give away $1 trillion in charity if he wanted to. But if he gave it all away now, that wouldn't be possible. So it's like, whatever. Let people spend their money the way they want to. Sure, I agree. That's a lot of money for one person. Does any one person need that much money? Probably not. But is that how he's using it? Is he buying up a bunch of houses? Is he just living life chill and enjoying all of his money? Or is he working nonstop to better mankind? Yeah, it's up to him, really. Jeff Bezos has a ton of money. He can spend it how he wants. I'm just really not in favor of really telling people how to spend their money. I wouldn't do that to you guys. I wouldn't be like, if someone in the chat was like, I have $10,000, so I'm deciding to buy, 10 Pro stands because I want to. And would it be in my right to be like, that's a waste of money, you shouldn't buy that? It's like, well, I can say that, but it's your money still. You know, it's not, it's up to you. You can use it however you want. I'm for the freedom of, it's your money, spend it the way you want, even if it's the richest or second richest person. I don't really mind. And you're welcome to criticize it. If you think that's too much, I don't care either. That's your right too. 10 bits from Neum. I remember you bought the battle pass. No. If I were you, Luis, $50 telling you to get TV Plus, will you please do it? I don't remember buying the battle pass. No. Don't wire me $50. Even if I did that way back when, the offer no longer stands. U.S. Department of Treasury is the richest in the world. Gotcha. Is that not a person, though? I like how Dinkata says, I don't need 190 billion. 100 billion would be enough. When do we decide what's enough, though? Because I can make the argument that most middle-class citizens probably have excess cash that they could donate to charity or send to people in need. But we're not complaining about that, right? Like, relatively speaking, you're probably richer than someone else. If you're watching this right now, you are more fortunate and privileged than someone else in the world. There's someone else on the earth who probably doesn't have a home or internet access or a phone or an iPad of any kind. So should we all just stop what we're doing and stop having any excess capital and just give it all away? Because that's basically how we're treating, when you get mad at big billionaires and stuff for having too much money. The question becomes, how much is enough? Is $100,000 a year enough? Is $1 million a year enough? It's not that like we have decided as a company, Tesla's like, we're going to pay Elon Musk $1 billion. No, it's just like everybody bought into the stock. Elon has a certain number of shares to his name, and the stock is doing really, really well right now, fluctuating around $800 a share, which before the split would be equivalent to like $4,000 a share. So we decided that as investors, really, and Elon only gets paid through shares when the company achieves certain milestones. So if he doesn't reach those milestones, he gets nothing. Like he doesn't actually get like liquid cash. I bought a Tesla Semi for Drew, Randy, and Nick. You saying I gotta cancel them now? No, you don't have to cancel them. I'm not here to tell anybody how to spend their money. I can make recommendations, but I'm not going to say like you are wrong for buying what you want. Or I'm not going to say Elon is wrong for spending money on projects that he wants to see happen. And I'm not going to tell Jeff Bezos he's wrong for, making services that people utilize and have put value in the shares of. Enough should be when you have enough to pay for everything you need to survive / have a healthy life. You don't need Twitch to have a healthy life. That means you have excess Apple Awesome. You don't need a phone to watch Twitch on. Everything you need to survive is like food, water, shelter. So anything above that, it's not as black and white as that. Thank you, Im Karjan. Thank you for the bits. I was scrolling through and I randomly chose you, so here you go. Wow, that's nice of you. Thank you. That's my goal in life. I was a ridiculous amount of money and people can hate, but I'm trying to build generational wealth. That's why I got into real estate, except it's not as easy as it looks. I thought I'd be coasting through life by managing multiple properties. There's a lot of work, Drew, but it's worth it. It's the best way to build lots of wealth eventually. I would like to get into stocks as my net worth portfolio isn't very diverse. Well, good for you. I hope it works out. And I appreciate the bits. And hopefully the property management continues to go well. And I appreciate you all for tuning in. I'm sorry for all the lagging during the Twitch stream today. It's frustrating, but sadly it's out of my control, and there's no way to fix it. No amount of money can fix internet problems. But either way, appreciate you guys watching. I will chat with you all later. Enjoy the tech vid. Take care. Bye-bye.